Okay, so, well, it's not exactly warm. This is the first day in several days that it's actually warm enough we can come up here and get some work done. I've been doing some work down at the shop. We were 19, 20 degrees, and then it warmed up to about 40s, but then it rained, so not able to get up here and do anything. I was working in the shop, but in the meantime, we have shiny stuff that arrived. Our new distributor, and we have a new coil and a new sensor. Now, I know I probably didn't need the distributor. I was pissed off when I ordered this. Okay, this story. The boat just did not want to start. I try to post in the video and show what happened. Tracing this back, this is another situation where I should have just walked away, calmed down, and came back later. Unfortunately, I spent a couple hours adjusting timing and pissed off and frustrated, and finally pissed off and ordered a very expensive distributor and coil. Yeah, that's sometimes how it goes. But I probably didn't need to do that, but I'm not exactly sorry that I did do that. I have a brand new motor. I have a new carburetor. I have new everything, and an old distributor and coil. They could be from 1989 for all I know. So, like I said, the important thing to me is not so much performance. I don't care how fast I'm going. I'm caring how much fuel that I'm using getting there. Most of my trips, like I said, are long distance. So fuel mileage is way more important than speed ever will be. So we might as well have the best spark. And we know we're using the fuel that's being pumped into the motor. And that brings us to the sensor. Now, this was more expensive than I wanted to pay. I've looked at them for quite a while, and there's no way that that's worth it to me. I'm not going to spend that. I was pissed off at the moment, so I went and ordered it. Sometimes that's the way I have to do things. Anyway, the fuel flow sensor is going to hook into my fuel line and hook up to my Simrad. And it will give me all the information about my fuel on my Simrad right there in front of my face. I will know my gallons per hour, I'll know gallons used. It gives me all of that information. Now, actually said researching and everything, it's another situation kind of like the lithium batteries. My God, I'm not spending that kind of money. It becomes, you know what, it's actually worth it in the long run. Looking at the fuel flow sensor kind of came to the same thing. I researched a lot, I looked at a lot. I found another individual who hooked one to this exact same Simrad that I have, and he found out that literally like about a 200 RPM difference in the way that he was running saved him a significant amount of fuel. Now, when you're using 11 to 21 gallons an hour on a boat, knowing that you could move that throttle just a little bit and significantly decrease the amount of fuel that you're using, that's huge. At $4 a gallon, basically, that adds up over time. So the initial cost in the end, it will probably pay for itself. Like I said, on these boats, you use a lot of fuel. Whether you're going fast or slow, you're still using a lot of fuel. So knowing that you can be saving fuel by minor adjustments is going to pay off in the long run. So I went ahead and ordered the stupid thing. So yeah, we're just going to try to get these installed and fix the mess we started over there with the handle. So I'm excited to be up here and actually able to do something today, even though my ears and my hands are freezing. We got our lines marked up. Now when we take off the distributor cap, we should either be pointing at number 1 plug or number 6 plug. I guess we'll see. Okay, we're top dead center, and you can see we're pointed number 1, the right direction. That's good. We can pull it out. Alright, so this distributor thing turned into a big fiasco, and the footage got all messed up. Basically what happened was I replaced the distributor and the motor wouldn't run. So I thought it was a distributor. I spent 2 days tearing this thing apart, making sure I wasn't out 180 degrees, or the distributor wasn't installed right, back and forth. I found the problem now. That was not it. So basically I'm just going to go over how you do the distributor. The first thing you want to do is bring your motor to top dead center. That means number 1 piston's at the top on the compression stroke. Now, if you have your valve covers off, you can look at the valves and see which one's the compression stroke. I did that, but I didn't have to. Another way of doing it is the way I did it the second time, being by myself. I took the old hose barb fitting and I screwed it into the number 1 cylinder. If you have caps from a new motor, this will work too. Or if you have somebody to help you, you can put your finger in there. But basically what I did was I screwed this in the number 1 cylinder and I bumped the key until this spark plug shot out of here. That way I knew we're on compression stroke. And then what you do is you bring your line on your harmonic balancer and your plate to top dead center. Once you're at top dead center, then you can pull your distributor. To pull the distributor, there's a 9/16 bolt over here on this side. It's got a little fork, and that's what holds it down. Sometimes you need a special wrench on these. You did. I could do it with a regular 9/16. You remove that bolt, and you pull the distributor straight up and out. Now, the coil on both of my coils, the new one and the old one, were marked plus and minus for which one is and which one isn't. But just in case, for my own safety, what I did was I set the coil next to it, I pull the wires off and I set it on. I pull the wires off and I set it on. And then put that back into place. Now the difference in between the old distributor and the new one is there's a red and a black wire on the new one. Those just go to the positive and negative on the coil. This one just had the one wire that went to the positive. Now this is where it gets tricky, is like they say, when you're at top dead center and you pull the cap off of this distributor, this rotor button should be facing at your number 1 cylinder. Now, they may have set it up different, it may be facing forward, whatever. It says to put this back in whichever way it was facing. What I did was, I dropped mine in pointing at the number 1 cylinder, and then you wire your cap to where this first plug sets on your number 1 sets. The number 1 plug sits right over top of the rotor button where it's facing, right there. So that's where you start. And then you can do your 1, 2, 5, I can't remember the thing, but there's a fire in order. You can look it up, keep a picture of it next to you. My brain's shattered at the moment. But yeah, basically when you insert this, now this is where this one got tricky. If you're used to regular old cars, your distributor has a vacuum advance off the side. So you know the vacuum advance goes on this side on a Chevy and you stick it in there. Well, these don't have that. But what you can do is look on the shaft of the distributor. There's holes. Face those holes forward and drop that in. Now your rotor button's going to be about here. When you drop it in, it'll want to set, and it won't go all the way down. You might have to turn this and it'll set and it'll turn just like that. If it's right. If it's not right, what you might have to do is through the hole with a long screwdriver, turn that oil pump. There's a slot in the top and you can turn that slightly and set this in until you get that where you want it. And like I said, at that point, just tighten it down, the 9/16 bolt just a little bit. Set your cap up to where your number 1 starts on, where the rotor's pointing over here at number 1. And wire it up and then tighten it all down. But, like I said, it's important without the vacuum, make sure those holes are going forward and that you're on top dead center. And like I said, there's 2 strokes of top dead center, vacuum and compression. You want compression. If you put it on vacuum, it's not gonna go well. I mean, so yeah, what was supposed to have been quick and it literally should take you 30 minutes. It's not that hard. It's not that big a deal. I got into something deeper. So yeah, like I said, I'll try to show what I can out of the video, but it kind of got messed up. I got really, really frustrated. So that is that. Okay, so just to update on what's going on the last few days up here. A lot of my video got messed up. I got so insanely stressed out. So this is where we left off. I came up here and I removed the carburetor and changed out that 1-inch spacer for the thick gasket. Because the reason I had put that in the first place is because the throttle was hitting the bolt on top of the manifold. Okay, so I replaced it with a thicker gasket. I put it back on and started it up. Started up fine. So next was the distributor got here, which at this point I was like, I didn't need it, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in since I bought it. So I got the distributor and coil, and I put those in, and I tried to start the motor, and no. So I'm like, all right, maybe I did this wrong. I spent the entire day pulling that thing off and putting it back together. I even got to the point where I was like, okay, let's make sure we're not 180 degrees out or something. I took every spark plug out of the motor, all the plug wires off, put the valve cover off, brought the motor up to top dead center, made sure both those valves were closed. I'm on the compression stroke. I put the distributor back in, redid all the plug wires, and it wouldn't start still. Same thing. So I'm super frustrated at this point. In fact, the next day I didn't even do anything. I was so frustrated. So this morning I came back up here again. I was like, all right, now we're fresh. It's all fresh. You're not frustrated. Let's do it again. So I pulled the motor up to top dead center. It's like, just to check again on the compression stroke. This time I screwed in the little hose bar, put a hose to it, stuck the spark plug in it. When I cranked it, it shot that spark plug. We know it's on compression. No doubt about it. I brought it up to top dead center. I looked and lined up the holes on the front of the distributor, set the distributor in, had it pointing as close as I could to number 1, made sure my plug wire was sitting on top of the rotor button, and put it all back together, and it would not start. So I'm like, all right, we need to start looking at the fuel. Now, when I first got the boat, I pumped a lot of the fuel out, and not too long ago, I put 15 gallons in. I pulled the line off and drained some of the fuel out and drained it into a bottle. It looks okay, it's a little yellow, but my fuel the fuel I have here looks yellow. It's just the way it is. Nothing looked like unordinary, nothing, no particles, no nothing. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I tried again to start it. It would not start. Finally, I went down and got a gas can that I use for the UTV. I know I just put the gas in there, so I'm like, if it's bad gas, we're going to run this out and pick this new gas up from this gas can. So what I did was I took the fuel line off of the fuel tank, where it goes in the fuel tank. I hooked a hose to that and ran that into the gas can. Now, I could see it from where I was turning the key, and the fuel did suck in. I went over and pulled the line off the carburetor and drained it into a bottle to make sure we're getting it all out. Stuck it back on there, and I cranked for a while. Absolutely same thing. Will not run. Won't even fire. It just like skips. So I'm like, okay, it's not bad gas. This is not the issue. So finally, so you know what? The last time that it did start right is when I pulled the carburetor off and put it back on. So I unbolted it and I pulled the carburetor off and I turned this thing sideways, and there's gas everywhere. There's gas leaking everywhere. It must have a float stuck in it or something. And I dumped all the gas out. I stuck it back on there, just tighten the bolts back down, turn the key, fires right up. So I was told a lot of things. The carburetor was supposed to be new. It doesn't, to me, even look like a marine carburetor. But it was supposed to be a new carburetor. But it doesn't matter, because in the mail right now is a new carburetor. It's just very frustrating. I spent 3 days. I thought, it's just the timing. I thought I did something wrong with that distributor. And like before, I thought maybe it was a special plate. It turns out all this time it's been a carburetor. That's the second time I pulled it off, dumped all the gas out, stuck it back on, and it runs fine. So it must be filling up with gas. I looked at the plugs, and some of them were wet, some of them were black. Which is mostly a sign of bad carburation. But so yeah, I have a new carburetor on the way, but I just went through complete heck for 2 days trying to figure out why this brand new motor with all this brand new stuff was not wanting to run. Like, all the money I've put into this thing better start and run as soon as I hit the key. So yeah, that's where we are now, waiting for that new carburetor to get here, and then we're going to slap that on here. And hopefully, at this point, we hit the key and it runs. But yeah, just it's frustrating. Like I said, I get stuck on something and I can't let it go, and I get stressed out about it. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know, like I said, that's where it is. I still gotta, I pulled that vent and I gotta put the bolts in through that, but I'm worn out now after going over all that mess. So anyway, we got the new distributor in. We're waiting for a new carburetor. Hopefully that solves the problem. We've narrowed it down. So thanks for watching.